Hi everybody, I'm Hannah from the Leprosy Mission and I look after everything digital there.
Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca from Root Cause Collective. Some of you might have seen Glyn and I's presentation yesterday. So I'm part of a group of independent freelancers that work with charities like the Leprosy Mission to support them to do more impactful campaigning, fundraising and comms. And it hasn't just been me working with Hannah and the Leprosy Mission, there's also Glyn, Debbie, Catherine, if you want to give us a wave, who are also part of the collective who've been working on this too.
Oh, so why have we started this project? What did we want to achieve? One of the challenges we face as an organisation is that our supporter base is getting older. And by older, I mean a lot older. And I know many people face this issue, but we have quite an elderly average age of supporter. And one of the challenges for us is that we really need to reach out to younger audiences, but obviously engage these younger audiences in a meaningful way as well, in a way that is going to keep them engaged long term. If you look at our supporter base, you would see that a lot of them have been supporting us for literally decades. If you talk to our supporters, which we do quite a lot, and talk to them at events and at churches and things, you get a lot of stories about how, they've supported us since they were a child growing up in the 1950s, or they support us because their parents have always supported us. And so they're very faithful, but they are an aging donor base. Our average donor, last time we really looked at this a couple of years ago, is around 80. And favourite fact that we like to pull out is that we have more supporters over the age of 90 than under the age of 40. This presents us with a few challenges, as you can imagine. And when I talk about a younger audience, and I always have to clarify this for people, when I'm talking about our charity reaching out to younger audiences, I kind of mean the under 60s, basically, not 21-year-olds. And the reason we struggle with this engaging younger generations is because we find that with leprosy, people have less awareness of the issue the younger they are. A couple of reasons for this. A lot of people don't know that it still exists. Today, it's very much seen by a lot of people as a disease that possibly died out in the Middle Ages, which is true in this country, but not for the rest of the world. And we also, with our history as a Christian charity that's been around for 150 years, people often gained an awareness of us and of leprosy growing up through Sunday school and through church. And you've seen that as, fewer people go to church, fewer children come up, grow up going to Sunday school, they don't have that awareness. And so that's why we decided to work with Root Cause on this year, because we knew we needed some long-term investment and some really good investment into looking at what will engage people and educate them about leprosy before we can even get them to that point of giving a donation. So we started the project, it was last autumn, wasn't it, I think, the really, really early stages, and we followed process that you can see here. We did quite a lot of work at the beginning, thinking about who are we actually going to reach out to, because, it's kind of, you can't be quite as broad as everyone under 60, much as you'd like to be, and also think really hard about what channels that we wanted to use for this project as well. And then we moved on to a stage of a little idea generation, thinking about the different types of content we'd like to use, and what we're doing now is currently in a phase of testing and optimizing. One thing we've noticed when we did another big acquisition project a couple of years ago, that the messaging that was really motivating people to act, particularly on Facebook, was around the injustice of leprosy. And so the idea is that it's a disease that is easily treated, but when it's not treated early on, the effects of it can be extremely debilitating for people and affect their entire lives. And so that's the injustice, that you've got a disease that is easily treated, but people really suffer because it isn't. The other injustice is that it's a very stigmatized disease, and that people are discriminated against, by law and just kind of by society in general because of having leprosy. And we found that's a big motivator for getting people to act. We also had the insight that a couple of years ago, during the appeal where we ran this acquisition campaign, we also ran a Radio 4 appeal. And it was enormously successful. We didn't really know what to expect. Radio 4 appeals do tend to vary in how well they go, but ours did incredibly well, which we're really proud of. But it also made us think, have we got this potential audience of Radio 4 listener type people? Barrier we face, obviously, is that leprosy's got low awareness among most people. So we're looking to do actions that were getting people to think about the disease rather than just think about acting. And we know that awareness of the disease is higher among people of Christian faith. It's mentioned in the Bible on several occasions. Obviously, we now face the barrier that we can't target people based on their religion on Facebook. So you've got to think of ways.
Having done this audience analysis with Hannah, sort of picked her brain about what insights do you have, what research do you have, what's worked, what hasn't. We built some audience profiles. So this isn't exactly how we have been targeting people on specific channels. This is just a broad profile that we put together as we moved into thinking about, okay, what kind of content, what kind of actions are we going to create to attract these types of people? So age is obviously between 30 and 65. We chose 30 as kind of the lower age here because of a disposable income. Hypothesis being that people above 30 are more likely to have disposable income to give. Location in England and Wales because it's Leprosy Mission England and Wales. Don't want to upset Leprosy Mission Scotland by recruiting supporters in Scotland. And then broad audience profiles, so people of Christian faith. As Hannah says, we can't target those people based on their faith, but I'll come on to how we looked to attract those people in a bit. Radio 4 listeners, based on the success of the appeal. People with shared values of justice, compassion and kindness, so that's based on the success of some hand raisers, an acquisition that you'd already done. People who have lived in countries with leprosy or are part of the diaspora, for obvious reasons there, and people who volunteer and or are involved in their local community. Again, I guess because there might be a church connection there as well. Do you want to talk about channel selection?
Yeah, so we ended up going with Facebook for the bulk of what we're doing to begin with. Reason for this is that because it's where the people we are targeting are most likely to be. Even though we obviously know usage has declined in recent years, we do find it is the best channel for us engagement-wise, and it has been the most successful for us in terms of recruitment. We also want to try out doing a bit more with Google Ads, which we hadn't done historically, but when you see what's leading people to our website, we thought it'd be quite interesting to play around with that and see what happened. We'd also never done YouTube ads before, but one of the things that we benefit from is that we've got quite a strong bank of video content. We use quite a lot of video content as part of our appeals, and so we thought that we could, use this to pique people's interest. And we also considering looking at Reddit ads as well. Again, not something we've done before, bit of a wild card, but we might be able to target a bit more specifically by interest.
Yeah, at the moment, YouTube and Reddit have slightly easier to target based on interest. That might change in the near future, we don't know. But at the moment, it looks like we can do slightly more specific targeting than we can do on Facebook. All right, so we have thought about our audience. We have chosen our channels. The next was to move on to content idea generation. So to do this, we talked to Hannah about what worked well in the past, did some evaluation of past recruitment actions. We really looked at those audience profiles. We developed them a bit further in a workshop. And as part of that workshop, we generated a large number of ideas, and then we whittled them down based on a number of different factors, including what we thought was going to appeal to those target audiences. And here's what we have come up with and been testing. So here you can see we've got a quiz. So how much do you know about leprosy? So we thought this might appeal to the Radio 4 audience, a bit like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm quite educated about the world, but how much do you actually know about leprosy? Do you even know that it still exists? We've also got a choose your own adventure action. So this is, what would you do if you were in the position of finding a strange patch of skin on your hand? What decisions would you make and where would that lead you? So again, trying to appeal to people's values, trying to get people to stand in the shoes of people with leprosy. And the scenarios were all based on the real experiences of leprosy mission patients. We also tested hand raisers. So hand raisers are a bit like petitions, but they don't have a target. They're asking people to kind of just add their name to a declaration, a statement. Talking to Hannah, these had worked well in the past for acquisition. So we analysed what had worked well, what framing, and we thought, okay, let's test a few different types of messaging here. So you can see here, as Hannah said, stigma, the fact that it's not an injustice connected to that. It's not right in this day and age that anybody should face discrimination because of having leprosy. We thought it would be a strong driver. So you can see that hand raiser on the left. And then we tested a different one, which was focusing on the fact that leprosy is really easily curable, but millions of people are still being diagnosed and suffering because of this really easily curable disease. So join the fight. We can be the generation that ends leprosy. Join the fight to end it for good as being motivating. And then the final two. So on the left here, we have Shakti's story. So this is actually just a very simple subscribe. But again, the insight here was people being curious about leprosy, about, oh, I didn't even know it still existed, that it's about in the world. Let's see if we can have a personal story here to entice people to subscribe. So this is, what's it like to have leprosy? I can tell you, sign up, and you'll get a series of emails that will tell you all about what it's like. And then finally, we thought it would be worth testing just some direct donate pages, so ads that ask people to just go and give a donation. And we created two different pages for this. So one using the story of Ibrahim and one the story of Dalamar. So really first person or personal storytelling as part of this. As we all know, good supporter recruitment is not just about great actions. You also then, that's just the start of your relationship with your supporters. So we also designed a welcome journey. Sorry, it's a bit of a illustration here, but the main thing to pick out is it was 7 emails over 3 weeks that we sent. We really aimed for a mix of content with the aim of building understanding through engagement. So as Hannah was saying at the start, we know that people's awareness and understanding of leprosy is quite low. First email always had an action in it. And because we had all this great content, it meant that we could put that in the welcome journey. So we're not just building content for recruitment actions, we're also making use of it in these welcome journeys. So this is, we had 8 different versions of this, but this is for people that took the quiz. We split tested, well, we are split testing a survey, the choose your own adventure action, and the hand raiser. And there's a daisy chain donate ask after all of those. And we've built more engagement in on day 8. They get will you send a message of support to people who currently are suffering with leprosy. We really focused on personal storytelling with these emails. So this is an example of the sign the card action. It's like sign a digital card on the left here. And this is the example of the first email someone receives from Shakti, so from someone that has had leprosy. First person storytelling. I'm Shakti. It's nice to meet you. And that has the action ask in there as well, which flipped out of there. So we're now in the testing phase of all of this. So we've started with Facebook as the main channel because of the reasons Hannah explained before. We started by testing all of these actions against each other, audience by audience. I think we've got about 4 or 5 different audiences using dynamic ads. So that means we gave Facebook a load of content and they're deciding what works best. Crucially, what we've done is created 2 different versions of all of this content, one with Christian language and one with secular language, because as we've spoken about, you can't target people based on their religion, which is, I think, probably we can agree for the best. But what we can do is create content that people of Christian faith might see and say, oh, great, I'm gonna sign up. So we did this not just for the recruitment actions, for the ad content, but also all of the welcome journeys as well. There's Christian language and secular language for all of that, so people have a consistent experience. Quick example, Christian framing of some Facebook ads here on the left and the secular framing on the right. Hopefully pretty obvious. Okay, so a quick poll. Which do you think performed best? Because we have tested all of these. Which do you think, one, which do you think beat the Facebook algorithm? So we've got the quiz, A for the quiz, B for subscribe, C for choose your own adventure, and D for hand raiser. You will be able to vote now in Slido. There you go. I will give you a hint, which is we tested first with the Radio 4 audience and then the lookalike audience, so people that look like the Leprosy Mission's current supporters, and the results were pretty similar across both audiences. Slide. She says she's not sliding. I knew I wouldn't get it when you told me. Ah, lovely. Ooh. Wait, a few more seconds for people to vote, but I know we're running close to time. Very interesting. So quiz and hand raiser winning there, and guess what? Those were the winners. So you guys know your stuff. Very good. So yeah, these ads got an average of a 7 to 9% click-through rate, which was well above what you've been seeing in the past. Actually, we're really pleased with that. This isn't necessarily the winning ad content, by the way, because this is just an example of what the dynamic ad content looks like. So don't necessarily take from that. If you do it exactly like this, you'll get 7 to 9% through click-through rate. I'm not sure if that's the exact ad content that was winning. So we're now in the stage of optimizing the user journey. So great that those ads, that those actions are doing really well, but what we're noticing is we're driving quite a lot of traffic to that, but we could be doing even better optimization to make sure that those actions are getting leads for us. So we're currently looking at page content and design and optimizing that. So what we've noticed is this quiz here on the left, which had the form at the start of it, was getting a bounce rate of 81%. So that's people just clicking on the ad, looking at that, and not engaging with the quiz. So we have optimized that to move the first question onto that page, and we're now getting a bounce rate of 59%. So massively reduced just by moving the form to the end of the quiz and asking people to opt in and sign up there. Obviously, we're going to work even harder to bring that down even further, but it's great to see that that change has made a statistically significant difference. We've also changed things like at the end of the quiz, we've shortened the copy throughout the quiz, and we've changed get my results to see my score. And that's now, we've got completions up from 6% to 47%. So again, great to be optimizing to achieve those results. And finally, so what's next? So we're continuing to test on Facebook even further. We've still got some more audiences to test. We're going to refine our audience targeting a bit more. Interestingly, 44% of leads so far are below the age of 65. So, and I think the last time you did this, it was what, 5 to 10%?
Yeah, about 10% probably.
So it's obviously, it's good to have, it's not quite a majority, but a significant number that are in that audience demographic that we're trying to aim for. But yeah, further optimization there. We're very soon going to be testing these winning actions using Google Ads. So we know that there are a lot of people that are searching, well, a good number of people that are searching, you know, things like what is leprosy? They're a warm audience. Let's get some Google Ads that have these recruitment actions in front of them and see how that works. And then we're going to start testing on YouTube and Reddit. I'm very sorry not to have results to share on those channels, because I'm sure you're all really interested, but we haven't quite got that far yet. Keep in touch with us, and we're very happy to share those results when we have them. And obviously, we need to be optimizing the welcome journeys as well. We just need a bit more traffic through them to get some statistically significant results on that. And you can try out the actions for yourselves. So we've got the quiz and the choose your own adventure. If you'd like to scan those QR codes, you can have a go and see what you think.
All right, so we have quite a few questions coming in as you're also scanning that, and I know the hard work of working in the neglected tropical disease space is real. That's where I got my start in fundraising as well. So it's a tough spot to be. So first question, so as people are scanning this, and you'll find out as you scan it, where did you host the quiz in Choose Your Own Adventure?
On Engaging Network. Sorry, I should have said that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and I think that was something that you all built for them, or is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Glyn if you would like to know more about building those.
Yes, very nicely done pages that you can check out.
I have no idea.
I think we're currently up to more than 50 pages that have been built for this campaign. So
Yeah, it's a lot of content.
Yeah. How did you find out which were the values that best resonated and connected with your current audiences and then with your wanted audiences?
So in terms of values with both audiences, actually, so our big acquisition campaign we did in 2021, we did some messaging testing for that, where we tested different hand raisers with different messaging, to see what worked. And we've also done quite a bit with our existing audiences around the values and kind of words that resonate with them as supporters. So we've got a list of like supporter values words that we draw on for these kind of things. In terms of audiences that are new to us that we're looking at, we obviously have less information on those. So we're kind of going on what we knew from our last project.
It's also a lot of the values here are actually the values of the leprosy mission. So you go on their About Us page and it's there. So it's also about, I think it's been spoken about a lot over the past couple of days it's about finding supporters that share your values in the first place. But it is nice that when you ask for supporters, they do have the same values as the leprosy mission of justice, compassion, kindness.
And this may go with the same thing, but which language worked better on your Facebook ads, the Christian language or the secular language, which may be different for the different audiences?
So very slightly, the secular is won out, but I don't think it's statistically significant. So we're going to continue to test both. We're at the stage now where we've just recruited like a few hundred supporters because we're just in that very early stage of testing to see what works. So we're really interested to test that further. Can't tell you for certain yet. Again, come and talk to us in a few weeks and we'll hopefully have some more info.
Someone noticed that in the journey, there wasn't a specific advocacy ask, like a classical advocacy ask. Was that a conscious decision?
We don't actually do a lot of actual advocacy. The only times we really get opportunities to do this within the UK is when there's something, significant that comes up with the government that we can do. A lot of our advocacy happens overseas, and because of the sensitivities around our work and our colleagues overseas and working with governments, we don't actually do a lot here that might paint some of the countries we work in a bad light. So, not massively an advocacy organisation in the UK.
Got it. From Heather, your existing audience is quite older. How well can you engage with them digitally? And what are the challenges that presents?
Well, I've been at the Leprosy Mission for nearly 12 years, so we've come on a big journey from where the attitude was very much like, our supporters don't do online. And I think particularly since the pandemic, we've noticed there was a really big shift where you had the majority of supporters were not engaging online. We haven't suddenly switched to where nearly all our donations are coming in online, certainly not. But we've definitely seen the pandemic kind of hastened that shift a bit, which was nice. I mean, there's always lots of work to be done, but we've definitely found that the younger end of our core of supporters, your people in their kind of 60s and 70s, are much more engaged online, which is nice, and doing really good. We're working a lot on emails as well. We've done a lot of work on emails to really make them as good and engaging as they can be.
One of the things that I really liked about how your presentation started was that you had done a full analysis of knowing your supporters' age, their demographic, that kind of information. I think a lot of times people will ask a charity when they see something like this and say like, okay, what was the number one thing you learned from this? And it's like, well, for our audience, this is what we learned. But if you just take that and just try to broadly apply it to any audience, that's why you have to test all those things to see, what is actually gonna work with your supporter audience? And if you don't have that data foundation, it can make it very difficult to know where to even start.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a quick 2 lightning round questions here. Did you test opt-in language on those pages?
No, because I'm trying to remember why we didn't. Mainly because your opt-in rate for your past hand raisers was good. I think We are testing so many things. Again, sort of harking back to Glyn and I's presentation yesterday, we didn't want to change too many variables, so we kind of kept it consistent. But I think if we see the opt-in going below what your benchmark is for your previous hand raises, we will look to test that. But we kind of took the insights of, okay, this one worked well last time, so we'll keep it broadly similar to that and hope that it kind of achieves the thing. But we'll be analysing the results, and if we see that drop, we will test it.
Excellent. And the other person removed their question. So thank you so much.